Get ready, Ohio. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Buckeye State. And to kick things off, you can get started with $100 in free bets as an early sign-up bonus. Plus, when you sign up today with promo code OhioSB, you'll be all set for when FanDuel goes live in Ohio. Then you can bet on all your favorite teams and all your favorite sports with $100 in free bets. Just download FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Ohio, this is your chance to get in on the action. Join today with promo code OhioSB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Ohio. Bonus issued in non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Ohio on 1/1/23. Unique user identity verification required. Offer ends on the go-live date. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
'Tis the season for super fast internet. In fact, 'tis always the season for super fast internet. Switch to Frontier Fiber 1 gig service for upload speeds 25 times faster than cable. And with our whole home Wi-Fi guarantee, we'll make sure everyone's new devices work in every room. All for just $59.99 a month with AutoPay. Plus, get a $200 Visa reward card on us. Uncable yourself. Get fiber internet from Frontier. Go to frontier.com/fast2 for complete offer terms, eligibility, and service performance details. Speed claim based on competitor advertised speeds and market. Service is subject to availability.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Welcome to Jumping Bomb Audio.
Welcome back to Jumping Bomb Audio, the #1 show all about the world of Joshi Pro Wrestling. My name is Taylor, and I am joined by my very good friend, Kelly. Kelly, how's it going?
It's going good. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did. It wasn't long enough. I got Thursday and Friday off of work. It was a very quick break. Wish it was longer, but it was very relaxing. How about you?
It was pretty good. It's weird for me with Thanksgiving because my schedule doesn't change at all because I already have Thursdays off and have for years now. So it's just like, it's just a normal week, but there's a turkey on one day.
So do you have only Thursday as your day off, or do you have multiple?
I do. So I work Monday through Wednesday and then Friday. I'm on a four-day a week schedule. It's nice.
Nice. That is nice. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, no, it's pretty great.
So we are here to talk all about all the Joshi that's been happening over the last 2 weeks. We've got a ton to talk about, so we're going to dive right in. But before we do, we got to do the plugs as always. Follow us on Twitter at JBombAudio. You can follow Kelly at Comic Geek Kelly or me at Tamainbo. And I'm going to throw in an extra plug this week and say if you're interested in some more discussion about all the things we talk about on the show, join the Voices of Wrestling Discord and hop into the Jumping Bomb Audio channel. We've been having some fun conversations in there, so come and join us. Subscribe to this podcast on your podcast app of choice. And if that app of choice happens to be Apple Podcasts, we'd really appreciate a 5-star rating and review. And if you're feeling extra generous, you can donate to the show at redcircle.com/shows/jumping-bomb-audio. All right, so we are going to get right into it. We are going to be covering Stardom Gold Rush, Historic Crossover, Stardom in Showcase Volume 3, as well as Tokyo Joshi's All Rise 22 Korakuen Hall show. So let's start off with the show that was first. That would be Stardom Gold Rush at Edion Osaka Arena. on November 19th in front of 1,620 fans. Kelly, what did you think of this show?
I thought it was a pretty fun show. I know last time I had some reservations about the matches they were putting on prior to the big New Japan show, but I think that then everyone still worked pretty hard, and they had a good show leading up to the show the next day. What did you think of it?
I thought mainly it was fine. That
Yeah.
was that was sort of my thought. There was one match I really enjoyed, probably not the match people are thinking of uh, going in. There were some things that I probably didn't enjoy so much, and mostly everything else I thought was pretty okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the show did start with a three-way tag match, the Oedo Tai team of Natsuko Tora and Ruaka defeating the Queen's Quest team of Lady C and Miyu Amasaki and the Stars team of Momo Kogo and Saya Ida in 4 minutes and 31 seconds. I did think for a moment that this might be what I am now naming the Kelly Surprise Rules match, which is my new name for an elimination match.
Yeah, no, I was not confused in this match. There was never a bit of confusion. I watched it, and I in my notes I should have wrote down, straightforward. I know what happened.
I thought it was a match. It felt short, mainly because it was short, and that's all I really thought about it.
Yeah, my notes say solid enough match, 2.5 stars.
The next match was the first title match of the show, the high speed title, the champion Azumi retaining her title over Momoko Hanazono in 8 minutes and 4 seconds. Kelly, what did you think of this match?
This was great. This was a tremendous official opener. There was so much fun. Hanazono looked great here, and she more than kept up with Azumi, I thought. Coming out of this, I would love to see those two as a tag team, or I would like to see them go after the trios belts with Mei Saruga as their third. I think that would be a really fun team. But yeah, I liked this a ton. I went 3 3/4 stars on it.
I will say my first note was on the last episode when we were previewing this show, it was listed fairly high up the card. And so I briefly talked about how excited I was for this to get more time on the show. Well, so much for that. But I also really loved this match. I thought it was great. It sort of started out as a bit of a comedy match, and I thought, oh, okay, they're just going to sort of do a comedy match. And then about halfway through, it just was not a comedy match and was very good. And of course, I really loved it. I've loved all these Azumi high speed matches. I'm trying to think back if there have been any that I've thought, oh, this was bad, and I can't think of any off the top of my head. Really loved Momoko shooting through the ropes on the drop to do the drop kick and missing and just going whoop right outside the ring, which I really liked. But I thought this was awesome. Has that typical sort of build to it near the end. I went 4.25 stars, so I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
The next match was the first match in the first round of the Moneyball tournament, also known as the Moneyball tournament semifinal match. The Donna Del Mundo team of Julia, Mai Sakurai, and Tekla defeating the Cosmic Angels trio of Natsupoi, Tam Nakano, and Waka Tsukiyama in 8 minutes and 42 seconds. I thought that this match was fine, but it very clearly felt like Donna Del Mundo was winning. And they were like, okay, Julia and Tekla, we're going to sort of hang outside the ring. Mai Sakurai, we have to wrestle another match later, so you do all the work.
Yeah.
I also think that Julia and Tekla's new promo images look like a French movie's interpretation of what Italian mafia wives would look like. Uh, with like the big coats and the giant hats and it's only the two of them.
Yeah.
I believe. I don't believe any of the rest of the team has those
Well, because
images.
they're Mafia Bella.
That is true. They are Mafia Bella. There you go. So I was right on it. I didn't even think of that as I was looking at the image. Um, Also, there was a moment when I think Mai Sakurai went to do an elbow drop and just missed Waka. Like, I couldn't really tell what had happened. And so I was unsure whether it was just a miss or whether I was supposed to think of it. You know, there's sometimes moves in wrestling that look like they hurt one person, but then the other person reacts like they're very injured.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, maybe it's one of those things where, you know, like someone does what looks like a DDT, but then it turns out the person you think is giving the DDT gets more hurt.
It's my whole thing with the Northern Lights suplex. Looks like it should be be a DDT.
The Northern Lights suplex should be a DDT. I would have to think about.
That's the one time I remember. I remember this. This is one thing I really liked about Saya. I'm critical of her a lot, but one thing she did a Northern Lights to someone on the outside, and then she sold her head because she would have hurt her head on the floor.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I do remember that. I remember you talked about that on the show.
Yep. That's like, so there's weird little things about wrestlers that stick in my head. That will be one for Saki Kashima, and the other is, hey, Baron Corbin had that really good chairs match with Kalisto one time. For whatever reason, those are two things that live in my head rent-free always.
I think we all have those. I have times that there are very important things, sometimes things on the show where I'm thinking of what to say and I totally forget. And yet I can clearly remember in 2017 that Ryan Davidson briefly wrestled for DDT, a guy who I had never heard of at the time, and I have never seen wrestle since.
I've never heard of this guy.
He's a guy, I guess he's a guy who wrestles in the States in like the Iowa, North Dakota, like middle of the country circuit.
Okay.
And for some reason I'm like, oh yeah, Ryan Davidson. He was on a couple DDT shows. I can remember that, but then I have to pull something out for this show.
Yeah.
Where I try to appear knowledgeable at all times, and I'm like, I don't remember.
And you're trying to pull
the thing
whatever
that happened,
it is, and Ryan Davidson's just there waving at you.
Maybe next time I'll do it, I'll just go, oh, and I'll start talking about Ryan Davidson.
Yeah.
Forget about this Joshi. You guys ever watch Ryan Davidson wrestle? Let me tell you, what a time.
Hey, you know
he was
what?
good. He was good. If you're listening, I enjoyed your time, and you were better than Facade.
Ugh. Anyone's better than Facade. Facade, I'm sorry if you're listening, but I think you suck and you're like one of my least favorite wrestlers ever. I don't even think you're not talented. I think you're actually good at what you do, but I think it's stupid and I don't like it.
I think that's almost worse.
Yeah.
To like acknowledge and be like, oh, you're good, but actually what you do is bad. Because if you're like, oh, this wrestler is bad, the argument could be, well, it's just a matter of taste.
Yeah, no, I think he's fine at what he does.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
You're good at a thing that I think is bad.
Yeah.
Your career has no worth to me.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, before Facade turns off this podcast, let's move on to.
Wait, there's one thing I do want to say about that match. Why is Mai Sakurai using the top rope elbow drop when Kairi is around now? Why hasn't anyone said, "Hey, you shouldn't do this anymore"?
It's far. They're far enough away on the card that no one. I mean,
I guess but...
she's stealing the heat.
Yeah, brother, what are you doing? Hold on, pop the Soma and think of a new finisher.
Yeah, you're like one of those promoters who's like, if someone uses a move on the card, no one else on the card is allowed to use it.
Yeah.
Because that
No one
happens
else
sometimes
uses the burning hammer.
yeah, that happens in AEW sometimes when people use moves and then someone else is using it. And sometimes I do think, oh, maybe don't use that anymore. So
Yeah.
I do know where you're coming from. The second match in the first round of the Moneyball tournament, I keep emphasizing Moneyball because in my notes for some reason I wrote it as Moneybag. But it was a ball, so I
It
don't know
certainly
why I
was
wrote
not a
Moneybag.
bag.
It might have been better if it had been a bag.
Yeah, it probably would have worked out a lot better for everyone.
The second match in the Moneyball tournament saw the Stars team of Hazuki Koguma and Mayu Iwatani defeat the God's Eye team of Amisore, Mirai, and Tomika Inaba. My one note here was I enjoyed seeing Inaba. I thought she looked good, and I felt the same way again, that it felt like the Stars sort of did a few things and then took a break.
Yeah, pretty much. My big takeaway from this match was I was kind of surprised that Soreille took the pin rather than Inaba. I thought that was interesting and kind of looking at their slotting in the company.
That's very true. And I mean, Inaba wasn't on the show, but Soreille, I mean, Mirai was as well. We're both in the spoilers. We'll talk about this in a second. In the Stardom Rumble on Historic Crossover, which feels a little bit low
Yeah.
for both of them, I would say. The next match was our first tag league match on the show. The Oedo Tai team of Momo Watanabe and Starlight Kid defeated the Oedo Tai team of Fukigen Death and Saki Kashima. And if you took the over on the last episode, you are the big winner. The over-under was 3 minutes, and this went almost twice as long. 5 minutes and 47 seconds. Less hijinks than I thought there'd be.
Yeah, this was pretty much just a straightforward match, and I kind of like that for it.
My favorite part was the one sort of hijink was Fukigen Death coming in, rubbing the newspaper in Starlight Kid's face, and then Momo immediately coming in and just launching her with a suplex.
Yes, that was good.
Which I really enjoyed. I would have liked to, I will admit, I would have liked to see a little bit more hijinks. Would have liked to see the smoking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was disappointed we didn't get that, but I think they were like, okay, what if we're gonna just subvert all the expectations here? No smoking, not today. They don't deserve it.
And it was a fun match, sort of for what it was, which was sort of a simple middle of the card match.
Yeah. No, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
The next match was another tag league match. The Donna Del Mundo team of Himika and Maika defeating 7-Up, Nanae Takahashi, and Yu in 14 minutes and 5 seconds. Kelly, I have no thoughts on this match. Do you have any thoughts on this match?
I thought the first half was boring and the second half was good.
I just sort of couldn't get into it. I have to say, tag leagues, and I'm not talking about just Stardom. This is not a Stardom critique. I never like any tag leagues.
There's the one tag league that I ever really enjoyed, and I don't actually enjoy it anymore because it takes almost the entire year, it feels like, was the Big Japan tag league, because they would have the death block and the strong block, so you'd get a nice bit of variety with that, and then it would end with, a death match team versus a strong team, which was cool. So like I always enjoyed the Big Japan tag league, but like it takes so long now, I don't even follow it at all anymore. But other than that, I never watch any tag leagues.
So many of them just feel like, whoa, we've got 2 months at the end of the year. What should we do? Oh, let's do a tag league.
Yeah.
To me. So really, I watched this match. I thought it was fine. Yeah. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I went 3.25 on it. It was all right.
However, a match I have a lot to say, a lot to talk about. The Wonder of Stardom title match. The champion Saya Kamatani going to a time limit draw, 30-minute time limit draw with Kyrie. Kelly, we didn't even consider a time limit draw.
Sure didn't.
It's
Sure
like
didn't.
my brain will not even allow it to be it's like if I don't think about it, it won't happen.
It was kind of just, I thought for sure Kyrie was winning because I thought for sure Mayu was winning the IWGP title. I didn't
It,
like this. I thought this
I,
sucked.
it just okay. I will say, here's my thoughts on the match, which was I thought Kyrie was very good.
Yeah.
I thought she looked good. I thought she wrestled very well. I thought the first half of the match was really meandering in a way that I didn't understand until then they hit the time limit draw, and I literally went back in my notes and wrote no
Of
wonder.
course. Yeah.
It just felt like they were like wandering from place, like meandering in the sense of the actual physical like
Yeah.
movement of the wrestling was very meandering. Like they were in one spot, they were out of the ring a ton,
The
which I
chair spots
found,
on the outside took up so much time.
and I just found it so weird that it was like now we're in a spot and then they would move somewhere else and sort of do something and then go somewhere else, but it all sort of felt like just wandering around through the space. And then I realized at the end that they were just sort of trying to kill
Kill
time.
time. It felt
Um,
like it was 4 hours long.
and then, of course, the time limit, they were like, whoa, 5 minutes left,
Yep.
whatever they, said. And I was like, oh, okay, it's going to time limit, which is the other thing where it's one of those things where we can talk about sort of the result, but it's one of those things where I hear that call and I'm like, and I know people are going to argue that the next match sort of counteracts what I'm about to say, but like they're like 5 minutes left, and in my brain, I immediately go, oh, it's a time limit draw. And like my brain shuts off the part of me that's like, am I enjoying this? Because it's like, oh, doesn't matter. Because it's going to a time limit draw.
Yeah.
And I will
I
say,
like you
yeah,
said, it felt so meandering. And it's just like it was, to me it was kind of like once within that first half I was like, "Oh god damn it, they're doing it, aren't they?" And they did. They did it. You know the one thing I liked about this match? I liked when Saya went for the 450 and the commentator screamed. That was amazing. She goes for the 450 and the commentator's like, "Oh!" Because he knew what could have happened.
well, and she didn't do, spoilers, she didn't do the Phoenix Splash in any of the matches on the shows were covered.
Yeah, I think they may have finally told her, like, hey, you gotta knock that off.
And they did work it in because the whole story, they have worked it into the storyline because I know that they've been talking about the idea of her losing confidence, which is fine if they're like, we've got to take this out because it's too dangerous, and that's the way
Yeah,
that they do it. Great. Fine with me. That's what we
yeah,
talked about last week or last
yeah.
episode. I think the biggest thing to me in this match was, as I said, I thought Kyrie was very good. I thought she definitely held up her end. The sort of difference in, and this is 2 weeks in a row, I'm going to sort of beat up on Saya, but she's a champion, is the difference between someone who appears as a wrestler and someone who appears as a performer. And to
Yeah.
me, Kyrie comes across as a wrestler and Saya comes across, and I'm not talking about that thing that people always say when they're like, back in my day, they were real fights and now they're just gymnastics. I don't care about what the moves are. They could be any moves at all. Saya appears like someone who is doing the moves of a wrestler, and Kairi appears as someone who is wrestling, which maybe is not clear. It's clear in my head, but it always sort of comes across as sort of Saya is doing the things that she's been taught, and she's like, this is what wrestling is.
Mm-hmm.
And she probably looks around and sees other matches and is like, here's what they do. They go to the floor. They scream. They scream. But it always just feels like someone acting as wrestlers.
I'm just picturing her sitting in her house watching a match, and she's like, they scream. But it goes to what I was saying last episode when I think I don't know if I'm quoting myself correctly, but I think I called her a dipshit Kota Ibushi cosplayer. And that's kind of, you're putting it in a much nicer way than I did. But that's the point I was trying to get across.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but there's
it's
a layer.
just she's doing things she's seen other people do, and just a lot of it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and it creates a layer of separation for me where I am watching it and going, oh, this is someone who is thinking, the thinking part of it is a lot, who's thinking about what should we do now, instead of just being like, we're going out here and we're fighting. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So that was my big sort of takeaway from this match and it's highlighted by bringing in probably one of the better women wrestlers in the world, I would say. I don't think many people would disagree with me there. Just sort of highlights that difference and how good Kairi was in this match to really be like, yes, this is the thing you should be aiming for. And it doesn't necessarily have to be all these high-flying moves. But even if it was, I would just like to see her do it as coming across more naturally than just like, here's the list of moves. Okay, time to do this move. Whatever.
Time to scream.
The semi-main event of this show was the World of Stardom title match. Shuri, the champion, successfully defending her title, defeating Utami Hayashishita in 28 minutes and 14 seconds. Kelly, a time limit draw fake out.
The second of the night, actually, because they had done that in the Dano Del Mundo versus Takahashi and Yu match.
Oh, that's right, because that's 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Kelly, what'd you think about this match?
I thought it was great. I've put the Shuri and Utami rivalry in the same category in my head as the Naito Ibushi feud, to where every match is great. I don't remember anything distinct from any of them, but I like all of them. It's just like they all kind of just blur together into one cool match in my head, and I'm like, yep, they're all great. Like, I can't tell you which one is better than the others. They're all kind of in my head the same level of quality, and they're all good. I went 4.5 stars on this one. What were your thoughts on it?
I enjoyed it. I was a little affected by the fact the last match was a time limit draw, and then it felt like, oh my god, we're watching two matches that take 60 minutes essentially. I mean, I will say for myself that the double draw match between them, which got all the hype, the big hyped one, is still my favorite one. I think it was good. I was not as high as you were, but I enjoyed it. But I think it was slightly hurt by that. I was so annoyed coming into it that I sort of wasn't enjoying it with the thought of like, oh, that last match. Ooh. Like,
yeah, I think I took a break between the two, and I was just like, you know what, I need to go do something else for a little bit.
I think on a different show without that, like if I had taken a break, I probably would have been closer to you. Um, so yeah. But another, I think, Kelly, you're right in line with sort of the consensus of the match.
I'm a man of the people.
And exactly what
Everyone
happened,
agrees with me always.
what you said, what happened did happen. My very brief flirtation with Utami winning
Gone.
didn't happen. The main event of the show, the Moneyball Tournament Final Tables, Ladders, and Chairs match. The Stars team of Hazuki Koguma and Mayu Iwatani defeating the Donna Del Mundo team of Julia, Mai Sakurai, and Tekla in only 9 minutes and 58 seconds.
Is there a single funnier moment in Stardom history than them busting open the Moneyball? Because I don't think there is.
Them busting open the Moneyball and everyone sort of standing, looking at all the spilled money for about 15 seconds. And then them being like, wait, the other half of the ball is still hanging. My first note for this match was literally, LOL.
Yep. Oh my god, that was so
breaks.
funny. And I saw the picture of the gold and money falling. I had assumed that was from whoever won. I saw that picture on my Twitter feed. I didn't realize that was like a minute into the match. So when it happened, it was even better.
You thought they opened the ball and it rained down on the winners. Gold coins.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't realize it was just they moved the fucking ladder in the wrong place.
I mean, that ladder perfectly placed to sort of knock open. I don't know what was keeping that ball closed.
It looked like it must have just been like some tape.
And they just hit it with that ladder perfectly. But yeah, sort of shades the whole match. I will say there were some pretty crazy bumps in this.
Yeah. They worked really hard. Like it was a fun. It was stupid as hell, but it was a fun match.
Yeah, it was good. It was just very weird. I think the fact that it was less than 10 minutes long after we had just sat through two matches that were 30 minutes, combined with the ball breaking like almost immediately, my note was, what a bizarre match.
It's really strange. It's one of the weirdest main events they've ever had.
Like, everyone worked hard. It was a good match. I did enjoy it, but I just sort of ended it with the thought of like, what the heck was that?
Yeah. You know, my favorite part of the match is in the post-match when after the Stars team wins, Julia is crawling around on the ground, grabbing any stray gold coins there are and shoving them in her top. Just amazing. Just such good dedication right there.
And them like bringing the money back into the ring to be like, here's the money.
Yeah. I like that there were crowns in there too. Here's your doubloons and crowns and some paper money.
But yeah, what a strange main event and a strange lead-in to the next night.
It really was.
Which was the Stardom New Japan show from November 20th, Historic Crossover at Ariake Arena in front of 7,102 fans. We are only going to talk about the Stardom matches because who cares about New Japan? No, I'm kidding. But we are only going to talk about the Stardom matches.
Yeah, because who cares about New Japan, nerds?
Yeah. The first show was the pre-show Stardom Rumble match.
Get out of here, Alex Coughlin.
Featuring every low-card wrestler you could possibly name on the Stardom roster, along with Super Strong Stardom Machine,
Hell yeah.
Mirai defeating everyone. I have to say that I did not enjoy this. It was just really boring to me
It
that
was.
there was almost no surprises. The one surprise was Super Strong Stardom Machine, who appears in every Rumble Stardom ever does.
Super Strong
Uh,
Stardom Machine should have won.
Sure.
I was
mean, it
mad that they
doesn't
didn't
matter.
win.
But it just felt like there were no surprises. It was just sort of like, here's someone who we couldn't fit on the card. Waka Tsukiyama is here. Like, I can't imagine being a New Japan fan who doesn't watch Stardom. I mean, I guess they wouldn't care either way, but it's just like, oh, yeah, all the people that aren't important enough to have a match. Okay, cool. Like, they couldn't get anyone? I mean, I guess it's better than bringing out what's his face from the Big Show. I don't know. Here we go. I'm Ryan Davidson. Right now. Who was the guy that they brought out at the Rumble and everyone hated?
Paul White?
No. Oh my god.
The Rumble. Logan Paul.
No, I'm not talking about the Royal. I'm talking about the Stardom Rumble. I'm not talking about the Royal Rumble.
Daichi?
No.
No, I just hate Daichi.
I said that everyone hates. Hold on. Oh, why can I not? I'm so mad right now.
I have zero recollection of this.
The Big Show where they had Julia and Tom.
Oh wait, I think I have a.
What was that
idea.
show even? Oh my god, I'm having like a. I cursed myself by early in the show, going, next time I'll do it. God.
And like I have
People
a
are probably
vague
screaming. Oh
yeah.
People are probably screaming at the podcast right now.
Because I do have a vague recollection of this now. Of there being a man, and it was weird.
And it was at Budokan. What was their Budokan show called?
I don't remember. It's Wonderland and Cinderella Town.
I don't like to make... Okay, here we go. I am having...
In my head, I can only picture the dude that works random DDT shows sometimes that likes to lick the inside of people's knees. Like the bald guy.
No.
But you know who I'm talking about, right?
No, I do.
That's who I'm picking. That's like the only thing I can picture.
Okay. It was... I'm looking through... I have found the event. Oh my god, they're not going to list them. Oh, Kikutaro.
Oh.
Remember he came out and he was like really horny?
Yes.
God,
okay, that's who
why
it
couldn't
was.
I think of that? That's... Oh gosh.
See, in my head, I didn't picture there was even a mask, so that's why. So that didn't even register for me. Yeah, okay. So,
It's
yeah,
funny
no,
because,
that's...
yeah, okay. God, that was terrible. Oh, gosh. Anyway.
Paul Davidson.
No, Ryan Davidson.
Ryan Davidson, sorry.
Jesus.
He's standing across the street. Like, I can see him outside of my window waving at me like he's like the It Follows demon or whatever.
But anyway, there were no surprises like there were at the Budokan show.
They didn't even break out, like, just have Kaori Yoneyama show up as herself.
Yeah, there's one. That's an easy one.
She's a regular roster member.
Have one of the freaking masks show up.
Yeah,
they got about 50 masks backstage.
Yeah, have like a million anyone you've had on the New Blood shows. Ram Kai Chow, why not?
So I didn't like this. It was bad. Sorry.
Yeah, it was. God. It was whatever. It was too long.
Okay, moving on. Moving on. The next New Japan match was the only women only match of the evening. I mean, not counting. Oh God, not counting the Rumble. Um,
Or
the
the
Queen's
open or
Quest
the main
team.
event.
Oh, or the main event. Jesus Christ. Uh,
We're falling
the
apart.
only the only team based match that had two sides that had all women in it.
There you go.
The only women's match that had more than 3 people but less than 20 people. The Queen's Quest team of Azumi, Lady C, and Saya Kamatani defeating Donna Del Mundo team of Himika, Mai Sakurai, and Tekla in 9 minutes and 20 seconds. Thought this was a fun match. Didn't really mean much. Was sort of squashed between a lot of other things, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, solid undercard match. Everyone worked hard. Saya hit the 450s, smooth as silk, so that was good.
And I thought Azumi, Lady C, and Saya were a good team.
Yeah.
I thought Saya looked good. I'll give Saya her due on this match. I thought she looked good. Thought Tekla looked good. Liked, as always, Azumi and Tekla interactions. Yeah. The next match was the first of our mixed tag team matches. The team of Julia and Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Suri and Tom Lawler in 10 minutes and 29 seconds. Kelly, what did you think of this match?
I liked it. It did, for the most part, just feel like two very good singles matches that were happening at the same time. But I thought both teams had fun dynamics, and honestly, now looking at it, I'm kind of surprised this wasn't higher up the card, just because, I mean, it's like your two top in Stardom right now with Suri and Julia. You'd think that would be farther up the card, but oh well. But yeah, overall fun match. I went 3.5 stars on it. It reminded me of so when I was a kid and I had my my wrestling figure federation, I used to book double matches where you'd have two matches happening at the same time and two referees for them. So it'd essentially be like a tag match, or like a tornado tag match, but you could only pin a certain person. I think in actuality it would work very poorly, but for my action figures it was perfect.
I don't really understand what you've just explained.
Okay, so let's say okay, so we'll use it in this.
Okay, so there's 2 rings?
No, there's just one ring, 2 matches. So it would be Julia versus Suri and Zack
Sure.
Sabre Jr. versus Tom Lawler.
Mhm.
And they're happening at the same time, but it works better when they're more when they're like an actual tag team. So it would be okay. So let's say it'd be Meltier versus Black Desire. So it'd be Natsupoi versus Starlight Kid and Tom versus Momo. And so it's like a tornado tag, but you can only have, Natsupoi could only pin Starlight Kid, Starlight Kid could only pin Natsupoi, Tom could only pin Momo, and so on. And so it's essentially you have one match happen, and then they're going at the same time. You can have different pins, so there's no, when one match is finished, the other is still going. Again, made a lot more sense to Child Kelly. In my head, this is perfect. I can see it being very confusing, though.
So it could end in a 1-1 draw?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
I used to do that leading up to tag title matches. So it's they're even going in.
Wow, this is a really forward-thinking booking here.
Dude, my booking was airtight. I used to have, so I had notebooks where I would plot everything out. And I would plot okay, I had a grid of the weekly shows and every feud going up leading up to the pay-per-view. And so I would make sure that every feud got hit on, advanced somewhat in the episode going into the week. So every week, each story was progressing a little bit. Something was happening.
And
I
these
know.
were with your action figures for yourself?
Yes.
Cool.
Correct.
Sorry, not to end this by totally digging you, but
No. I mean, hey, what else are you gonna do as a kid?
that is true.
Yeah.
Um,
One time when I
I
was
will.
a kid, I tried to send on MySpace. I tried to send Gabe Zapolsky my eFed so I could get tips on booking, and he was like, I appreciate the you wanting my critiques, but I can't do that."
Fair enough. Well, I really liked this match. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. I thought they worked within the limits of the match very well. I would have liked slightly more Suri and Julia. It felt to me sort of like a Zack Sabre Jr. and Tom Lawler match featuring Julia and Suri at
It was
times.
very Saber and Lawler heavy.
But I really liked it. I had a super fun time. I went 4 stars.
Wow.
So take that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Uh,
fun. I did 3.5. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
the next match was an 8-person tag team match. The two duos of Meltier, Natsupoi, and Tom Nakano, and the Suzuki Gun duo of Taichi and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, defeating the duos, the Black Desire duo of Momo Watanabe and Starlight Kid, along with the Suzuki Gun duo of Doki and El Desperado in 12 minutes and 1 second. I thought this one was pretty similar to the last one. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought everyone was working very hard, having a lot of fun. I thought the New Japan people were working to make the Stardom people look good. I mean, they very easily could have gone in and just been like, oh, let's do our usual undercard stuff and then get out of here. But I thought they worked hard and it was a lot of fun and everyone came out looking better to me.
Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. I thought it was worked at like a pretty kind of frantic pace with just stuff always happening. I do think it was a missed opportunity that they didn't have Tom wear some pants to rip off like Taichi. I think that would have been a good moment. I was a little disappointed that Taichi's pants got caught up in the ropes because I much prefer it when he shoots them into space and we never actually see them land. That's always fun. But yeah, I was also a little disappointed to see Despy and Starlight Kid on the losing side because I really, really like that team and I'd like to see more of them together.
I liked their dual masks that they
Yeah.
were wearing. And I also enjoyed the moment when they did Natsupoi and Kanemaru did the whiskey spray. And then they immediately cut to Natsupoi reacting like the whiskey was very gross.
Yes. It
I
really
just
felt
thought,
like all the Suzuki Goon dudes worked really hard to just be like, "Hey, we're like a collective unit with these women. Like we're a team, you know? Like they did a really good job of that of kind of integrating themselves."
yeah. And do see what you say with the Tom and the Taichi pant stuff, but I did like them cutting to Tom realizing she didn't have anything to rip.
That was good. Yeah, that was really fun.
So I thought I would have gone 4 stars again. I thought these were really good, fun matches.
Yeah.
The next match, our last mixed tag team match, saw the team of Hiroshi Tanahashi and Utami defeating the team of Hiroki Goto and Micah in 9 minutes and 36 seconds. I liked that the story of the entire show seemed that no one actually really wanted to follow the mixed tag rules.
Yeah.
Uh, it seemed like a thing that was heavily enforced by the referee and no one else really wanted to do it.
And Tanahashi himself just slapping the shit out of Micah.
Yeah. Actually getting her, I thought this started a bit slow and I thought, oh, this is going to be the match where they sort of just do the undercard New Japan style tag match And then it really picked up. I mean, the slap on Micah being the highlight, I think, by far.
Like, shit, I want a Tanahashi-Micah singles match now.
It's interesting to me. I don't know if it was the wrestlers doing it or what it was. I would be interested to see if they do chance it. Like, if they do this again, which I'm sure they probably will. I don't know how soon, but if they maybe were to do, like, they could still do, okay, these three are going to be mixed and this one is going to be intergender, and just see. Seems slightly unlikely, but the fact that it was so sort of like boundary pushing here had me sort of thinking like, oh, it is possible. Like, I was fully expecting the WWE style mixed tag match, which is like two people wrestle and then one person tags out and the other just has to sort of sadly walk over to their corner and tag out. And then it's like a different match. And my final note, which was, of course, everyone's talked about this before, but Utami played a much more realistic air guitar at the end than Tanahashi.
She did, yeah.
Tanahashi's
that was a
air
cool
guitar,
moment.
yeah. Tanahashi's air guitar doesn't even resemble a guitar.
No, not at all.
And then at the end, he throws it out, and I believe Utami literally mimed taking the strap off her shoulder and then throwing it into the crowd.
Yes.
Which I really enjoyed. But 3 good matches. I think I went in with probably slightly lower expectations based on the mixed tag rules, but I came away having a good time.
Yeah, no, I was really happy with them.
The last Stardom match of the night, which was also the last match of the night, the main event for the vacant IWGP Women's title, saw Kairi defeating Mayu Iwatani in 25 minutes and 28 seconds to become the first IWGP Women's Champion. And I will take a victory lap because I believe I predicted Kairi on the last episode and Kelly predicted Mayu. So point to me.
I bet Mayu's really upset she vacated that SWA title now.
That's the first thing I said. I said that a couple weeks ago. I'm like, why would you give up a title before you've won another title?
She believed in herself. A little too much.
The story everywhere is, every person is like, I'm a belt collector. I'm the true belt collector. No. Mayu's gimmick is, I want the least amount of belts that I can have.
Mayu's like, how many pairs of pants am I wearing? 1. I don't need more than 1 belt.
More than 1 belt, and no thank you.
Yeah.
And even 1 belt might be a stretch. But Kelly, what'd you think of the match?
I thought this was incredible. I thought it really came off like they gave just everything they had in this match. They kept a really good pace throughout, and they brought just a ton of emotion to the match. I thought they did great. I do wish that Red Shoes had been the referee rather than Daichi, because Red Shoes wouldn't have fucked up the 2.99 counts like Daichi did. He knows how to call those. He doesn't pull up early. I really kind of was against Kairi winning at first, just because, like, even listening to the English commentary, the story of the match really was where Mayu is the one who stuck around, and it's almost like she deserves this title more. And kind of just the post-match between the two, Kairi kind of won me over more of just as a character, not as a wrestler, but just as the character, just kind of embracing Mayu and having that.
It only happens once a year. JCPenney's cyber deals are back in store and at jcp.com. Through Wednesday, fill your cart with deals like Yes Please diamonds and gemstones, now $19.99 each. Or use your coupon inside the JCP app to save up to 50% on small appliances and cookware from top brands like Keurig, Cuisinart, Calphalon, and more. We got your holiday. JCPenney offers good on select items through 11/30. Exclusions apply. Jewelry excluded from coupons. See store or jcp.com for details.
Get ready, Ohio. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Buckeye State. And to kick things off, you can get started with $100 in free bets as an early sign-up bonus. Plus, when you sign up today with promo code OhioSB, you'll be all set for when FanDuel goes live in Ohio. Then you can bet on all your favorite teams and all your favorite sports with $100 in free bets. Just download FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Ohio, this is your chance to get in on the action. Join today with promo code OhioSB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Ohio. Bonus issued in non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Ohio on 1/1/23. Unique user identity verification required. Offer ends on the go-live date. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
'Tis the season for super fast internet. In fact, 'tis always the season for super fast internet. Switch to Frontier Fiber 1 gig service for upload speeds 25 times faster than cable. And with our whole home Wi-Fi guarantee, we'll make sure everyone's new devices work in every room. All for just $59.99 a month with AutoPay. Plus, get a $200 Visa reward card on us. Uncable yourself. Get fiber internet from Frontier. Go to frontier.com/fast2 for complete offer terms, eligibility, and service performance details. Speed claim based on competitor advertised speeds and market. Service is subject to availability.
Moment there, and it was like, okay, you know what? I'm fine with this. But yeah, this was one of my favorite matches of the year. I went 4 3/4 on it.
I wasn't as high as you. Again, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great sort of cap to the show, which I ended up really enjoying. I really liked that it was two wrestlers who are sort of, mixed in with the history of the promotion. They're still very current. Mayu is the quote unquote ace of the company. Kairi was around for a while and has just come back. But I like that it was sort of, you saw through this card some of the present of the company, but also this present, which is a very historical present of these two people who have been around and been involved in Stardom for so long. I really enjoyed the match. I was super happy to see Kairi win. I think she's going to have a great reign. She's going to be able to have good matches. I had talked about, I don't know if I mentioned it on the show. I think we had talked about it in the Discord. I think there was, I would have loved to see Mayu win. I was happy to see Kairi win. So to me, it wasn't really I want one or the other. But I think part of me was, if this belt becomes something that goes to American shows, for example, or is trying to pull in Western fans in any way, I think Mayu Iwatani, the sort of one drawback of her being so good over the years has been that she sort of has been the representative of Joshi, I think, for many non-Joshi people.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fair.
If you went to people who didn't watch Joshi, who watch, AEW, maybe not AEW, but like Ring of Honor, like it felt like she was the Joshi person in that company. I mean, she was on the big Madison Square Garden show. She was just on the New Japan show in New York. And I wonder if some of this was like, well, we want to get a new face in front of some of these people, so it doesn't feel sort of like, hey, women on the show, oh, it's the same woman that you've sort of seen a lot of as this representative. And that's nothing against Mayu. It just happened that for a long time she was so good that she was sort of in a class of her own once Kairi and Io Shirai left, and Stardom was still sort of the top, but not a huge promotion. That I wonder if that idea factored at all into this decision.
Well, I think it's just more that, like, without a doubt, Kyrie's the bigger name between the two. Like, just the WWE run on its own, Kyrie is definitely more well known, and especially if you're trying to get new fans potentially who have like, oh, I know who that is. She was really good in WWE. So, then they might get to start watching.
Yeah, and it could totally be that. It was just sort of an idea I had before really the match, of thinking, oh, do they go with Mayu? And then is the thought like, oh, this is a person we've seen just thinking of it from not from the perspective of really Joshi fans or even people with passing knowledge of Joshi, but people who are like, I don't watch any of that. I think Mayu would be the sort of flag bearer. So maybe nice to have someone different. And as you say, the WWE thing works in her favor as well. But certainly deserving either way. Super talented. And a good cap to the show.
Yeah. And so now we're just waiting for that Kyrie versus Mercedes Moné match.
I thought at first you were going to say Mercedes Martinez.
No.
The next show, the third of our shows, was the November 26th Stardom in Showcase 3 from Todoroki Arena. And I watched this show. Kelly did not get to it except in highlight form, I believe.
Yeah, I forgot about it. So before the show, I crammed in all the highlight videos on YouTube.
So we will sort of scoot through this one. The first match, a match in the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League, saw Nanai Takahashi and Yu defeat the Stars team of Hanan and Saya Ida in 8 minutes and 13 seconds. I find it rude of Stardom that they shoved in Tag League matches on a non-canon show.
And it had that match go longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Other than that, I thought it was fine. The next match was an anywhere fall count 4-way match. Koguma defeating Azumi, Ram Kaichou, and Starlight Kid in 10 minutes and 34 seconds. This one was soccer themed with the World Cup happening. This was probably my least favorite of these. They've had one on now 3 shows. This was probably, I did enjoy a lot of it, but probably the least favorite of the 3 that they've done. The highlight definitely was putting Starlight Kid in the ball, in the big inflatable ball, and trying to roll her at Oedo Tai, but the ball not hitting Oedo Tai and going the wrong way, which I thought was very funny.
I like that they bring in the big blow up things for all these matches now.
Yeah, they really spare no expense for these Fall Count Anywhere matches to go to the outside, and not the only match that went to the outside and had a big event happen. So a little bit of spoilers. The next match, Lady C defeating Himika, Momokogo, and Saya Kamatani in 8 minutes and 4 seconds in what could be called the shampoo match. And my note is, I hated this.
This is some of the worst shit I've ever seen. And I only saw the highlights.
I didn't enjoy this in any way, shape, or form. I don't want to harp on it, but just it was bad. I will say this, Kelly. You may have enjoyed it in full form because there was some Daichi.
Oh, I did see that. I did see Daichi get shampooed.
The next match, let's turn that frown upside down. The next match was the Judo Jacket 6-person tag team match. The team of Maika, Hanan, and Mayu Iwatani defeating Mirai, Hina, and Utami in 9 minutes and 21 seconds. I thought this was great. This was super fun. I loved the judo. I loved Maika coming in and immediately just tossing Utami around. And I also weirdly liked that they were sort of doing judo and then at points would just be like, oh, let's just wrestle now. Let's have a little wrestling as a treat. So I really liked this. This was easily my favorite match on the show. I thought it was really good. The one match I would recommend that you go and watch. I thought it was super cool and a ton of fun.
Yeah, from what I saw, I would agree with you.
The next match was the no holds barred match where the teams of Hazuki and Natsusumire went to a no contest with the Oedo Tai team of Natsuko Tora and Saki Kashima. I was not aware that no holds barred matches could end in no contests.
Yeah, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense.
Seems like a bit of a strange thing. I did like Saki's look. It was very cool, although there were a couple times she sort of looked like Mayu Iwatani from behind, with the sort of
Yeah, I can see that.
the same colored hair, sort of done up in the ponytail, the sort of high ponytail. Um, I also, my big note from the match was Chen Yoda died so that Natsu and her cone bra could live. Uh, I thought that was funny. In the end, Natsu turning, or after the match, I should say, turning on Hazuki. Um, yeah, I thought this was fine. I
Yeah.
was mostly just sort of confused that it ended in a no contest.
Yeah. I enjoyed that they were busting fake bottles over each other's heads. That was fun.
Oh yeah, that was good. Um, the semi-main of the show was a hardcore six-person tag team match. The Prominence Trio, Haragi Karumi, Risa Sera, and Suzu Suzuki, defeating the Cosmic Angels trio of Natsupoi, Tom Nakano, and the mystery returnee, Unagi Sayaka. This one, it was very weird because I was very excited for it because of the Prominence trio. It was too goofy for me. In the end,
Yeah.
there was paint, there was spray, there were eggs or something, there was slime. It just felt sort of like a quote unquote hardcore match for people who are like, we don't actually want to do a hardcore match. We just want to do a match where things happen.
Yeah.
Uh,
I didn't like this.
and it also is the point of there's now been three Stardom and Showcase matches. It feels largely like the layout is one sort of bizarre match, some random stuff that they need to shove into shows to keep things moving, and then like a bunch of hardcore matches that are just all called different names.
Mm-hmm.
Like a no holds barred match followed by a hardcore match followed by an exploding coffin match, which really, the spoilers, the exploding coffin only happened at the very end. And
Yeah.
other than that, it was largely just a hardcore match.
This prominence match was the third match on the card where someone got liquid sprayed or poured on them. This is easily the wettest show we watched. Well, you watched. I watched highlights.
Yeah, but I would say almost none of the other shows were at all wet.
Yeah, like this was a very wet show.
So a low bar there. And then the main event, the Exploding Coffin six-person tag team match. The team of Nanae, Takahashi, Yu, and Shingami Mask never revealed for the first time. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
They did have the fun bit where the mask got ripped off and there was another mask underneath, which I always enjoy. Defeated the Donna Del Mundo team of Julia, Mai Sakurai, and Tekla in 14 minutes and 45 seconds. Enjoyed. I really was getting a sense of deja vu at this point, which I just talked about. I was like, oh, it's another one of these same sort of matches. And then I liked at the end when they beat the shit out of Rossi and threw him in the coffin and the coffin exploded.
That was good.
Although there was a moment I thought it was going to be like an AEW style explosion where it's just sort of like boop, 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 and it's over. But then they had sort of a big one at the end. So that was Stardom and Showcase. I think a skippable show.
Yeah, I'm not going to go and watch the full thing.
And the last show we will be covering is the Tokyo Joshi Korakuen Hall show All Rise 22 from November 27th in front of 657 fans. Kelly, what did you think about this show?
I like this show a lot. I forgot it was happening until like I saw it on Twitter, so I was like, "Oh, cool! I got wrestling to watch tonight." So it was a fun, nice little Saturday night surprise for me. Overall, really enjoyable show.
The first match was a singles match, Suzume defeating Yoshiko Hasegawa in 8 minutes and 13 seconds. I thought this was a solid match. Uh, have only seen Hasegawa a few times, so still interested in seeing more. But I like that they have brought someone in like this who feels a little bit above the bottom tier of the roster, but still can lose to people like Suzume. It feels like they need more of those level of people. I will say the one thing that stood out to me about Suzume in this match was she hits very hard without looking like she is trying to hit very hard, which is something that I appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing about Hasegawa, I think, is her gear is like really cool and professional looking. So she kind of just jumps off the page right away and just she looks different than everyone else on the show. So it's like it kind of just makes you pay attention to her.
Yeah, I mean, when I say I need to see more, I have liked what I've seen, but it feels like I still need to see that. Like, I'd like to see her go up against one of the sort of top tier people, like
Yeah.
just to see, like, okay, this is the top tier. What can you do, like in a semi main or a main or something like that? Um, but I have enjoyed having her around. I'm glad that they've sort of grabbed her. Um, as I said, I think someone of her stature is important where she could move up the card, sort of like a now Kakuta who has been um, sort of on a higher level, but doesn't feel like someone who's about to break out or needs to be pushed immediately, um, which I think is very valuable for this roster, which is seemingly full of like people who are already stars or many people who feel like they need to start moving up the card, which we've talked about on the show many times.
Mm-hmm.
The next match was a 3-on-2 handicap match. The team of Hyper Masao and Shoko Nakajima defeating the trio of Haruna Neko, Kaya Toramami, and Mahiro Kiryu. I will say this seems like a weird thing to say for a match that began with Tetsuya Koda being dragged into the match briefly, but I thought it was a fairly straightforward match for Hyper Masao.
Yeah, once they got to like the actual just match part of it, it was fairly normal.
Yeah, it was just sort of a straightforward match. I actually thought it was very fun. Um, for a moment, I thought we were having another surprise Haruna Neko great match, and then there were two consecutive moves where I thought she didn't look that good,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, never mind. But improvement. She is improving. I think that's definite. Uh, and was good enough that I briefly thought maybe the team of three would win. Like, is that realistic? Am I crazy? I was sort of like, well, they could win.
I didn't think they were. I didn't think they had any chance. I mean, just because it's the team of geeks versus the higher ups, I guess.
The next match was a tag team match. Miyu Watanabe and Rika Tatsumi defeating the karate team of Juria Nagano and Moka Miyamoto in 13 minutes and 1 second. Another match I enjoyed. I thought it went longer than I thought it would. But at the end, I feel like I hadn't really changed my mind on anyone in the match. I was sort of like, yep, everything I thought about them going in is what I still think about them.
Yeah, pretty much. I thought it was good overall. I think this might be the first time I watched a match with Juria and wasn't immediately struck with, "Holy shit, she's great." Like, I think it was kind of just like I'm either just used to her now or what, or she just didn't super stand out this time around or what. But she was just kind of like, "Yeah, she's there. She's great." It wasn't just like there wasn't that moment of, "Oh yeah, she's gonna be something huge."
Yeah, I think she's now at the point that I was sort of at with Kaya Toramami. Now I think she's slightly ahead of her, but where it was like, okay, we've now seen this.
Mm-hmm.
And now, and I think I talked about this last time we reviewed Tokyo Joshi, we've seen this. It's good. We get it. What is the next step? What is the next layer of this person? And it feels like we haven't got there. We may get there. We got there with Kaya. I thought she sort of put together a sort of more well-rounded in-ring style. I don't know what it's going to be with Juria, but we'll see. And again, I felt the same I felt about Mocha. I wish she would get new gear.
Yeah. She needs to
I
talk
feel like-
to whoever made Hasegawa's gear.
I feel like my perception of her is unfairly colored by her gear.
I think that's fair.
Because I think she's improving, but in my mind, I see her and I'm like, still in this gear that I don't like.
Yeah. It's ugly gear. It's bad.
And I'm like, look, they're a karate team now. If they're a karate team, they should be closer in look. I'm not saying they should dress the same, but it would be great if the whole thing is karate. She might want to come out in something that makes her look like someone who does karate.
This is when the monkey paw starts to close and Juria gets new gear to look like Mocha.
They go back to the full skirt that
Yeah.
Mocha used to wear. It goes the total opposite way. The next match, a singles match, Mizuki defeating Ariso Endo in 9 minutes and 55 seconds. Kelly, what do you think of this one?
I thought this was a great showing for Endo. Thought they both looked really good here. And I mean, Mizuki, obviously, awesome always. And Endo was really good here, too. I went 3.5 stars on it.
I thought that this was going along fine until the moment when Endo hit that drop kick on the top rope on Mizuki and Mizuki went out. And then, like, the crowd got into it. Got really into it. It felt like a big deal. They started really firing up and hitting some big shots. It was really high energy, and I like really got into it. And I was like, yeah, this is great. I really liked it. I went 4 stars. Thought the crowd was huge in the sort of making it feel like a big deal, feel like a big match, and I just really got into the second half and I was like, yeah, this is really cool. This is really great. And I really enjoyed it.
This was a really good crowd, I thought.
Yes. Now, I don't know if it was a good crowd, mainly because I've lived what seems like my entire life hearing clapping. But to me, it was good, and that's all I really care about. And I will talk about it in a later match. But the crowd was great to me. More of the crowds like this.
Yeah.
The next match, a tag team match, Nao Kakuta and Yuki Kamifuku defeating Hikari Noa and Maki Ito in 13 minutes and 22 seconds. I thought this was good. I think mostly, though, I'm making another decree on this podcast, which is that in 2023 is the year of the great Tokyo Joshi in-ring action. I will not be talking about how much better their in-ring has gotten because it's official. It's good now.
Yep.
Almost up and down the entire card. And so 2023, that's the standard.
You got to be good.
I've determined.
Yeah, no, that's
and that's it.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, it's a new era.
I've been a broken record, but now we're starting a new year and the bar is going to be at a higher level, and I think that they will surpass that level.
When Haru Naneko is starting to become actually good, that's when you got to change the bar.
You got to lift it up. We're high jumping and we're lifting that bar. What's a good high jump? We're lifting it from 8 feet to 12 feet.
There you go.
I don't know.
Someone
who knows something about high jump. Tell me if those are good heights. I think 12 is high. We're lifting it from 8 feet to 10 feet. We're lifting it from 8 feet to 10 feet.
Yeah. We're
I don't know,
going.
maybe they're both low.
Is the high jump? Do you got the stick or is that the pole vault? That's the pole vault.
The high jump is wait. Oh, maybe I'm talking about pole vault. Is high
Yeah,
jump the
because
one where you just run and you just jump over the thing?
yeah, because I think you're
Okay, because
talking about like supernatural abilities to be able to jump like that.
oh no, okay, so then I'm talking about pole vault.
Yeah. Okay.
Because high
So
jump, I
then,
think like 6 feet is good.
yeah, like because you're not clearing the big show. That's too
Right.
hot. That's too tall.
Yeah, Paul White.
No more BS. Sorry.
No more BS. Yeah. But anyway, the bar is high, and that's where the bar is, and we're not talking about where the bar has been before in 2023, but it's still 2022, so I can talk about it.
Yeah.
They've come a long way. I think this is a match that before, especially in the position it was in, it would have been like, okay. But now I was like, hey, good match. The next match was our first of 3 title matches for the Eve title, Spirit of Eve. That's what the notes say. Miyu Yamashita, the champion, defeating Millie McKenzie in 13 minutes and 52 seconds. I thought this ruled. I thought it was great. This was the match where I was like, crowds. I was like, I cannot go back. No more clapping. 2023, the year of Tokyo Joshi In-Ring, 2023 has got to be the year of full crowds.
Yeah.
Because I was like, whoa. I felt like I am watching a different thing than I have been watching. Because I thought this was so good. I thought Miyu, of course, was very good. I thought Millie McKenzie was very good. They had the suplex on the floor. I thought all of Millie Spears looked really good as someone who isn't really all that crazy about Spears as a move, because I think they can sort of look lame. Really hard hitting, great. The crowd was really into it. I went 4.5 stars. I thought this was great.
Damn. I like this a lot. I thought it was really good. Super hard hitting. I haven't seen Millie wrestle in, it's got to be a couple years now, and I think she's come along really well in that time. Her suplexes look really good. The sequence of kicks that Miyu hit to win the match looked super brutal. Like, that was awesome. Definitely worth a watch. This was my favorite match of the show by far. I just went 4 stars on it. Like, still very good, really good rating, but nowhere near as high as you. I have to say, this was probably because I was watching the English commentary. I know you stopped prior to this, but there was a moment where the guy was just rattling off the history of the Eve title and was just barely interrupted by Millie hitting that suplex on the floor on Miyu. Like, it just registered the tiniest blip to him. It's like, oh wow, suplex, and then immediately just goes back to rambling on about the Eve title history. They got to figure out something to do with that team when Aki and Brooks aren't around, because man, it is rough.
I mean, really the only thing they need is they need a play-by-play person, because they just had 2 color commentators.
Yes.
In one booth. So there wasn't actually anyone talking about what was happening in the ring. And I actually think Chris Brooks has gotten very good at commentary, and I think he's very good at sort of calling what's happening in the ring and mixing in other things and interacting with the color commentators, whoever it is.
Yeah.
But to me, it was just like, I started the show, and in the first match, I was like, they are not talking about anything that's actually occurring. Like, it was just sort of like, welcome. Oh, here's Suzume. Suzume she started this way. Her nickname is Vivid Honey Mustard. And this
journalist
is
guy has his notes, and he's going to rattle every single one of them off.
So, I don't think they're terrible. I just think they needed someone there I mean, that's what every booth needs. Every booth
Yeah.
needs a play-by-play person and a color commentator, at least. I mean, some
Yeah,
people have
and
8
they
people
don't
in a
have
booth.
anyone calling the match.
Yeah. So at this point, I was on the Japanese, so I did not get to witness that moment.
Yeah, I kind of kept it on just cuz just to see what happened, and then I got a little moment like that, which was fun. that made it all worth it.
The semi-main event of the show was for the Princess Tag Team titles. The thrown together duo of Yuki Aino and Pom Harajuku originally was supposed to be Raku, who wasn't on the show, went down in defeat to the champions Saki Akai and Yuki Arai in 14 minutes and 45 seconds. I wasn't super crazy about this match. I thought it was fine. I haven't really been all that blown away by any of Akai and Arai's title matches. But to me, this was all about Pom Harajuku. Gotta love Pom Harajuku. The crowd loves her. This was her
Yep.
first title opportunity in the company. And I am telling you, if it's with Max the Impaler or if it's somewhere else, she's got to get a big win because the crowd is going to explode and it's going to
Yeah.
be a very cool moment.
Yeah, no, Pom fought valiantly in this match. She was great. Easily the star of the match. Hell, I even thought Yuki Aino did well, and I normally am not a fan of hers. I thought she was pretty good. But yeah, I totally agree. I don't think Akai and Arai have had a great tag title run, but I also don't really think they've had the best opponents. Like, this was probably their best matchup yet. And even this was kind of just all right because it was just a thrown together team. But, like, I don't know, they had the not great Gaijin match. They had the the match where you were going to make your proclamation about Mahiro Kiryu, and that was
Oh, that's
whatever.
right.
So yeah, I just think they haven't really had any good matchups yet, or any big name matchups. We'll see what happens upcoming with the Max the Impaler team, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like they've kind of just really cooled off this team. Like there's nothing going on with them really. It's like, all right, cool. We're having a bunch of easy title defenses, and this one coming up is the first one where it feels like, oh, maybe they might actually lose. Who knows? So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think it might have to do with that Arai is still so new that they don't want to throw super experienced teams at them just because sort of in kayfabe you might think, oh, okay, they're not at that, I don't know, maybe not in kayfabe, but they're sort of not at that level where the crowd will see them beating those types of teams as sort of realistic.
I'm
I don't
starting
know
to
if,
worry that Arai was given too much too fast. And I feel I kind of worry that she's starting to stagnate.
I mean, I think she's sort of in the similar position of Juria, which is sort of she is sort of in the that's great, what's next, held back by the fact that she isn't wrestling on every show. Like, she isn't there all the time. She's doing obviously other things that are also big.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, it's still very early on in her career. I mean, I would hope, I would think. But yeah, it's just sort of like some of these younger wrestlers are sort of like, here's my thing. And the next step will be, well, what else is there?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the case with, you know, most wrestlers, not even young wrestlers, but all wrestlers. I mean, you win a title and then you lose a title, and what's next?
Yep.
So yeah, will be interesting to see, and I'll be interested to see the team that beats them, as you mentioned, Max the Impaler and their tag team partner, Heidi Howitzer sent in a video challenging the champions for the tag titles. I don't think they are going to win the tag titles.
No, probably not. I don't think they're going to win, but I feel like this is the most danger that the Reiwa
Yeah.
AA canon has been in.
It seems like they could win, but I don't know. There's something about it. I feel like Yuki Rai, just because they built her up so much, it's going to be like, oh, they're going to lose to an experienced team where you're like, this is a team.
Misao and
Like,
Shoko Nakajima.
Yeah, maybe. The main event of the show, the Princess of Princess title match, saw the champion Yuka Sakazaki retain over Billy Starks. Space Jesus, Billy Starks, in 14 minutes and 50 seconds. Kelly, the main event. What'd you think?
It wasn't bad. Look, Billy, it just isn't good enough to be in this spot yet, and that's fine. She's 17. She still has a lot of room for improvement. The potential is definitely there. You can see that in this match. She did very well, I thought, for her first, like, this was a big main event match. Again, I don't think she should have been there yet, but she did about as well as you could expect. Matches like this are super important for a wrestler that's still growing. So I'm happy she got this experience, and Yuka guided her through it really well. The driver that Billy did to Yuka on the apron looked insane. Yuka is a saint for taking that move because I wouldn't have. But yeah, I thought it was fine. It was a decent main event. I went 3 1/4 on it. It was honestly better than I was expecting it to be. How did it fit up to your expectations?
I actually thought it wasn't half bad. I found myself enjoying the match. I probably would have been slightly higher than you, like 3.5. I mean, I think the most important thing is there was the one sort of mistake on the kick in the middle of the ring where Billy didn't sit up in time, which was sort of like, okay. But I think if you sort of take away the US Indies hype of her as like the second coming of Manami Toyota, in ring, and you're just like, okay, she's 17, she's very young, she's 17. I mean, she does do stuff that I was like, okay, this is interesting to me. You know, the driver is, I think she does that in like every match. And I always think, oh God, it's going to go poorly. And it never has that I'm aware of. But there are things there where you're like, yes, this could be a good wrestler, but she needs more matches. And I think she needs, I would go on the other side of you, Kelly, just to sort of play devil's advocate and say, these are the types of matches she sort of needs. I would rather sort of see her wrestle this match than like 100 US indie matches that are like, dream match opponent.
Oh, for sure.
She's wrestling Davey Richards.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like you go out in a show that doesn't matter at all. There's no story. And you're like, here's a bunch of spots that I know how to do. Oh, I'm going to jump and throw a chair in the air. Like, to go in this match and be like, okay, this is a main event. It is for this title. This is how we do it. It's done this way. To be in the ring with Yuka Sakazaki, who I thought was excellent in this match, is always excellent. So that was no surprise. But someone who can sort of guide her in a more focused manner, I think is very valuable. And she's someone who's on the US Indies, which I think are mostly sort of useless for developing talent nowadays. It's just sort of like people get to a level where they can sort of get their name out, and hopefully they get picked up somewhere where they actually can sort of develop skills. So I thought it was very useful. And at the end, she would have gone out and I was like, oh, a disaster. Like every move is wrong. Oh, but I thought the whole thing was, with the exception of that one moment, which lasted 15 seconds, and then they got through it and it was over. I thought it was a solid match. And I'd like to see, I don't know if they'll have her back or, I don't know what's happening with her. She's 17. She's still in school. I don't know what the possibility is of her coming back, but I'd like to see her back more just to know that she would be somewhere developing the skills in the way that will help her most, as opposed to just sort of aimlessly traveling around the indies.
Yeah, no, it's like this is a match she needs to have. I just don't think she should have been this high up the card,
I mean, I don't know if anyone, I have no idea if anyone watched the show because Billy was on it. I don't know if that's the case. But I don't know. I was just sort of like, when it was first announced, I was sort of thinking, oh gosh, this. But at the end of the day, it's one of their probably lesser Korakuens. If this was the one, the January 4th main event, I would be like, oh, I don't know about this. But, they're trying to get seats in. I like that Tokyo Joshi is bringing in these sort of names, brought in Willow Nightingale, bringing in Trisha Dora, sort of people who have been recognized as, hey, there could be something there. I'd much rather see that than the sort of usual Joshi model, which is like, hey, here's someone who has had 10 matches in Montana. They're coming in and they'll wrestle 2 matches and you'll never hear from them again. Like, I think that they have identified at least talent that is, if not on the super in-ring talent side, at least interesting to me to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that as someone, I'm not a Billy Starks. I wouldn't say I'm a Billy Starks fan. I've seen a few matches of hers here and there, but I enjoy at least saying, oh, there's a big challenge. Oh, it's someone I know, and let's see how this goes. And, anyway, that's my thought.
Yeah, I thought I haven't seen much of Billy, so this was really like probably the first time I'd watched and like fully paid attention to a match of hers. So I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, and we'll see, the other thing sort of is there isn't much talent on the US Indies.
Oh no,
nowadays. Yeah. So it's like, if you don't, they're bringing in Trish, if you don't, so put Trish aside. Someone like Masha is signed to Impact. There may be things there, but it's like, who else is there? There aren't that many other people to bring in that you could say, hey, this person is somewhat of a name. Jody Threat. I don't know. Can you think of anyone?
No. Not really. The indies are dry.
I mean, and there are some people, I'm not saying no one is talented. I'm just saying in terms of people who, I think the clear goal here with Tokyo Joshi is to get some eyes on the promotion, or at least try to do that. And on the US Indies, there just aren't those people who have the combination of talent and notoriety, because the fact is, if they did, they would be in some other promotion. They'd be in WWE, they'd be in Impact, they'd be in AEW by this point, because they've snapped up everyone. And, maybe Tokyo Joshi will hopefully use more of the AEW talent or Ring of Honor talent, whatever you want to call them, like they did with Willow, but you never know. So sort of the pickings are slim, so I don't look at this and think, how could they bring in Billy Starks? Not saying that you're saying that, but I understand it from the perspective of, hey, this could be interesting. And it turned out she came over and the match was fine. And it's all, it is what it is.
They should bring over Casey Catal and have her work a death match against Akari Noah.
Where is Rebel Kill?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think she's in Washington.
Just have Casey Catal bring over the ICW American Deathmatch Championship and have her defend against Hikari Noah.
Yeah, I'm sure that would go well.
Yeah. Give Hikari what she wants.
You sound like a parent who's like, let them do this, and they'll come back to me and regret it.
Exactly.
They'll come back to me crying and they'll never do it again.
Yep.
Anyway, that was the Tokyo Joshi All Rise 22 show from Korakuen Hall. What else has been going on in Joshi? Well, to go back to Stardom, they've been doing, as we mentioned, the Tag League. Currently leading the red block in a tie with 8 points. The Aphrodite team of Utami and Saya, as well as the Mafia Bella team of Julia and Tekla, both at 8 points. Meltier at 6, Tam Nakano and Natsupoi. Shuri and Tomoka Naba and Momo Watanabe and Starlight Kid at 5. And then all the way down at 2, Mayu Iwatani and Momo Kogo and Saki Kashima and Fukigen Death. And once again, sad to say for Kelly, with 0 points, the only team in the entire tournament, including a team where one of the participants has a notorious losing streak. The only team with no points, My Fair Lady, Mai Sakurai, and Lady C.
Rossi, why are you doing this to me? I know you're doing this specifically to upset me. Rossi, why?
In the Blue Goddesses block, the team of Maika and Himika and the team of Natsuko Tora and Ruaka, both with 8 points. Speaking of upsetting Kelly. Then with 7 points, the 7-Up team of Nanae Takahashi and Yu. 6 points, Hazuki and Koguma. 5 points, Mirai and Amisore. And all tied with 2 points, Saida and Hanan, Azumi and Miyu Amasaki, and Saki and Waka Tsukiyama, who was the replacement in that team. Elsewhere, what is going on? Seedling had a show on the 20th. Oz had a show on the 27th. Sendai Girls had a show on the 20th from Korakuen Hall. The main event featuring Dash Chizako, Jun Kasai, Asuka, and Asami Kodaka. Kelly, did you watch any of that show?
No, I need to. Okay,
because I was going to say the main event is a Kelly match.
Yeah.
Super lot of fun, not super high stakes, but a good exhibition match. At one point, they put Asuka on a table that breaks before anyone does anything, but she keeps laying on the table and they still land on her, and it looked more painful than if the table had not broken. Because they just came down and she went nowhere. They just landed on top of her.
So that aired already then?
It did. It was... It did. It aired.
I'm always thrown off with Sendai Girls just because I'm used to them. In my head, I'm like, oh, they upload everything to YouTube, and they don't actually do that. So
I thought you were going to say, they're. I thought you were going to say, they're on IWTV.
No,
you were going to go way back.
Yeah. No, I just never think to look for their shows because in my head, I'm just like, oh yeah, it'll go on YouTube. And then months go by and I don't think about the show anymore. And then I'm finally reminded, like, hey, what happened to that show I wanted to see? It didn't go up on YouTube. I've done this like 4 times with Sendai Girls this year already. So I'll have to track this one down.
Yeah, track it down because the main event is definitely a Kelly match, and everyone else track it down because it's a good match. In Marvelous on November 17th, Chikayo Nagashima defeated Unagi Sayaka. Unagi Sayaka having a very strange 2 weeks. On that Sendai Girls show, she was supposed to have a mystery partner to take on Team 200 kilogram, and no one showed up, and it turned into a 2-on-1 match.
That's so sad.
So, just very, very strange. In Wave, the tag team champions Galaxy Punch, Saki and Akari Shimizu retained their tag titles over Akane Fujita and Risa Sera. So that is everything. Just those few things that have been happening in the last 2 weeks of Joshi. But what is coming up? Stardom finishing out their tag league on December 4th. In Oz on December 11th, Momoka Hanazono will defend her Pioneer 3-way title against Sonoko Kato and Maya Yukihi. And Sendai Girls, probably with the biggest show of the next 2 weeks. They've got a big show on December 4th. The whole card, Millie McKenzie showing up in Sendai Girls to take on Yurika Oka. Sakura Hirota will take on Amazon. Nina Samuels and Lena Cross will take on Yu and Kohaku. Mika Iwata will take on Miyuki Takase. And then for the tag titles, the champions Dash Chizako and Hiroyo Matsumoto will defend against Ryo Mizunami and Manami. And the main event, the big match, the champion Chihiro Hashimoto will defend her title against Asuka. And then they have another show the very next day on the 5th. 2 highlights there. Millie McKenzie against Asuka. And once again, another strange Unagi Sayaka. Chihiro Hashimoto will take on both Unagi Sayaka and Yurika Oka in a 2-on-1 match. So that is everything that is happening in the next 2 weeks. But the next time we join you in 2 weeks, it will be time for the 2022 year in review. We'll be giving all our awards, talking about the whole year that has been the exciting year of Joshi of 2022. So look forward to that. Kelly, it's time. Do you have a recommendation?
Yeah, go watch a Gamera movie. It was his birthday yesterday as we record this. So on the November 27th, it was Gamera's 57th birthday. So go watch one of his movies. They are all on Amazon Prime, if you've got that. I recommend any of the 3, or just watch the trilogy from the 90s. Those movies are fantastic. So start with Gamera, Guardian of the Universe. Get some big turtle fun in.
Well, happy birthday to Gamera. And thank you once again for joining us here on Jumping Bomb Audio. Kelly, any final thoughts you have before we leave?
It's been a long year. But you know what? Not as long as the past couple of years. Definitely not as long as 2020.
All right. That's our closing thoughts then. As we head into 2023. But we will see you next time on Jumping Bomb Audio for the final discussion on the year that was 2022. So for Kelly, I am Taylor, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
'Tis the season for super fast internet. In fact, 'tis always the season for super fast internet. Switch to Frontier Fiber 1 gig service and make the holidays happier with upload speeds 25 times faster than cable. And with our whole home Wi-Fi guarantee, we'll make sure everyone's new devices work in every room. Plus, you'll get a $200 Visa reward card on us. Uncable yourself. Get fiber internet from Frontier. Go to frontier.com/fast4 for complete offer terms, eligibility, and service performance details. Speed claim based on competitor advertised speeds and market. Service is subject to availability.
It only happens once a year. JCPenney's cyber deals are back in store and at jcp.com. Through Wednesday, fill your cart with deals like Yes Please diamonds and gemstones, now $19.99 each. Or use your coupon inside the JCP app to save up to 50% on small appliances and cookware from top brands like Keurig, Cuisinart, Calphalon, and more. We got your holiday. JCPenney offers good on select items through 11/30. Exclusions apply. Jewelry excluded from coupons. See store or jcp.com for details.